Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. Today's video, I'm going to be going over the 5.5 pre-release notes that are going to be detailing what we're getting in Puzzle Quest with the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set. So, let's get into it. Now, I know that a number of you might be wondering why I haven't posted a video in like a month. I might make a separate video on that, but things have been kind of crazy around here in a not too great way. So yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I know that my patrons know, but I'm not sure. I haven't really opened it up, you know. But anywho, the upcoming Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set is going to be bringing us, I want to say, 4 new mechanics, 4 planeswalkers, a new PvP coalition event, and some bug fixes. So the planeswalkers were actually taken off of the page because they didn't have all of their abilities put on correctly. So I will not be going over the planeswalkers in this video. I'm just going over the new mechanics and then also going over some of the changes and fixes and all that kind of stuff. So the first of the new mechanics is Ninjutsu. So Ninjutsu in Paper Magic makes it so that when a ninja attacks, you can pay a mana cost, and then that creature that's attacking and is unblocked, I suppose, when it's attacking and is unblocked, you may return it to your hand and have a creature with Ninjutsu enter the battlefield with flash, and then hit your opponent. And most of the Ninjutsu creatures have some sort of effect based on when they deal damage to the opponent. So in Puzzle Quest, it's going to read, when a creature you control with base power 3 or less deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker. If this is the first card with Ninjutsu in your hand, increase this card's Ninjutsu value by 1. Then at the beginning of combat during your turn, if this creature's Ninjutsu value is equal to or greater than the required value, replace the target creature you control with this. Then this creature is going to get haste until end of turn. The creature that you're replacing, instead of going to the graveyard, is going to get returned to your hand. So that's a little bit to ingest, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at a card with Ninjutsu. So if we were to take, for example, this Biting Palm Ninja, right? So this card has Ninjutsu 4, right? So as it has Ninjutsu 4, that means that you need a creature with base power 3 or less to attack your opponent 4 times, with this thing being in your hand, getting the little icon here in this kukuri up a little bit, right? And so it's going to go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. And then when it becomes 4, if it's the beginning of your combat, not middle of your combat, at the beginning of your combat, you can swap a creature that you have on the battlefield, for example, for this Biting Palm Ninja. It will then have haste, so it will attack your opponent. And then this has, when this creature enters the battlefield, it gets menace. And you'll see when it deals damage to your opponent's planeswalker, it has an ability. This one has, you may have it lose menace, and if you do, exile the first non-land card from your opponent's hand. So the new Ninjutsu mechanic, just at a first glance, really doesn't seem that strong, because you need to be running creatures with base power 3 or less. And then, while a lot of the abilities that some of these cards have are very powerful, you might as well just run those cards and then not use the Ninjutsu. So that's just my first take. It's possible that it will surprise me, but we'll see. The second of the new mechanics is called Channel. So this is going to have, when you exile this card from your hand, if it has mana equal to or greater than the channel cost, then you may perform that channel effect. So as an example, Arashi, the Sky Asunder, this one has channel. You'll see that it has the little channel icon on it right here. You'll see that the base mana cost here is 10, and then it has channel 5. Deal X damage to target creature with flying. X is the number of green gems on the board. So that means that for this card, you only need to have 5 of the 10 mana charged up. However, if you have anything in excess of 5, so if you have 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, that's fine. You can still exile it from your hand in order to get the channel effect, right? So for something to be exiled from your hand, either you just exile it yourself, or maybe your opponent plays a card that exiles something from your hand. But this will then go ahead and get that channel effect. So instead of casting it as a creature, you get the channel. It could be kind of cool of a mechanic, depending on how much of the channel cards, or how many of the channel cards are actually decent and how viable they are in the current meta. I see it kind of like a cycling light, if you will. So we'll just have to see. The next of our new mechanics is reconfigure and reconfigured. So this one is going to be a support. So reconfigure is an evergreen that's only found on supports. And it will read, when this card enters the battlefield or when you match this support's gem, if you control less than 3 creatures, create this card's reconfigure token. That reconfigure token is going to be a creature token that will be on the battlefield. So basically, if you play one of these reconfigure supports and there is space on the battlefield for a creature, then you will get a creature token instead of the support. If you play the support and there isn't room for a creature token, then you'll get the support. And then it also has, when you cast a creature, if you control 3 creatures, replace this one. So if you cast a creature, you control 3 creatures, you're going to automatically replace the reconfigured creature. So just be aware of that as you're playing around with it. So if we take a look at a card that has reconfigure, you'll see the reconfigure icon on the card right over here. And it has, when your first creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, if you don't control a creature named Token Acquisition Octopus, draw a card, it gets 3 mana. So here you'll see that if you do wind up getting the Octopus token down, I would imagine that the Octopus token is going to have an ability that says when it deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, draw a card, it gains 3 mana. And then if you don't have the Octopus token and instead you have the support, it's going to do the same thing. That's just my guess. I don't know for sure. But that sounds like it makes sense. So either way that you play it, you either get a creature with the effect or you get a support that's going to make it so that you have a creature with the effect. Sort of like a lot of the equipment from the paper Magic, right? And then it also says that if either the token or the support is destroyed, their related counterpart will be destroyed as well. So it seems like if you play the support and you get the creature token, and then that creature token is destroyed, that the support will also be destroyed, is how I am interpreting this right here with these cards. So our next mechanic is called Pilot. So these cards may receive effects from vehicle cards with crew equal or less than this card's pilot value. The pilot, gosh, I love pirates, but not pilots. So Pilot has an evergreen that looks sort of like aviator goggles right here. You'll see here on, for example, Hot Shot Mechanic that it has Pilot 2. You'll see that this card is vanilla other than the Pilot, meaning it does not have any other effects. So in order to actually get something from Pilot, you need to have one of the new vehicles. Unfortunately, the vehicles just seem to be supports with effects based around Pilot instead of actually being creatures. So like planeswalkers like Saheeli, which were potentially going to become really cool with this expansion, are not going to be cool. But maybe these vehicles wind up being decent. I am not inclined to think that they will. But let's take a look at this anyway. So you'll see that this one has, it's an 11 mana support. It has crew 1, meaning that when a creature you control attacks, this card, if it's in your hand, it's going to gain 1 mana. And then when this support enters the board, target creature you control gains Pilot 1, right? So when it enters the board, you're going to give a creature Pilot. Then you're going to disable target opposing creature until the beginning of your next turn. Now, the way that these artifact vehicles are going to work is that they then also have one of these middle /abilities right here that will state at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with Pilot X or greater, in this case, Pilot 1 or greater, get +1/+1 and gain flying until the beginning of your next turn. Most of them seem to have some kind of buff that they get for that combat and then for your opponent's turn. And so just based on the way that you're going to be attacking with your creatures, it is sort of just going to turn into like a permanent buff, right? And then this one also has Activate 2, a random creature you control with Pilot 1 or less loses Pilot, and then target creature you control gains Pilot 1. So you can just sort of move Pilot around with these Activate gems right over here. But by and large, basically this card is basically saying you're paying 11 mana to have it so that you give a creature of yours +1/+1 and flying. So yeah, that's just why I don't think that's particularly strong. So that's it for the new mechanics. We've got Pilot, we've got Reconfigure, we've got Channel, we've got Ninjutsu. So I'm not inclined to think that Ninjutsu will be very strong. I think that Channel could be kind of cool. I think that Reconfigure could be kind of cool, but it depends on how good the tokens are. And then Pilot, I just don't see being very viable either. So those are the new mechanics. For the new planeswalkers, we have a mono-white planeswalker called the Wandering Emperor. We have a mono-blue Tezzeret Betrayer of Flesh, which is going to be an artifact-based Tezzeret. We have a blue-black ninja-based planeswalker called Kaito Shizuki. And then finally, we have Tamio Completed Sage, or Completed, I'm not sure. This is one that I don't know how to pronounce. If you're wondering, by the way, why I'm pronouncing things like Kaito Shizuki, it's because a lot of the names from the Kamigawa set come from Japanese. I actually happen to speak Japanese, so I just am more used to pronouncing it properly than with an Americanized accent. We've got a new event. It's called the Kamigawa Run. It's going to be a PvP coalition event. For some of you who took a look at the event, we don't have the event details out. You might have seen this here. All nodes are unlocked from the beginning and gotten really excited and thought that maybe that meant that we would get all of our nodes that would be playable as soon as the event started, but that's not the case. The event is going to have a refresh for your nodes. When it says all nodes are unlocked from the beginning, that just means that for the 2 nodes, you can just play both of them from the start of the event. You don't have to play a node and unlock a node. You're just able to play all of them. So the color restriction for each node, the top node is going to be white, red, and green planeswalkers only. And then for the bottom node, the stealth operation is going to be blue and black only. So based on Search for the Emperor and Stealth Operation, I'm going to guess that the bottom node is going to have something to do with Ninjutsu. And then as for the top node, Search for the Emperor, I don't know. We've got a few changes to the game. So for event changes, Fate is Rarely Fair is going to become a legacy-only event. The booster reward for Trial of the Plains is going to become a Neon Dynasty booster pack. So Trial of the Plains always updates to be the most current set, so we're going to get that. The booster for Plane Chasing Fiblethip is going to update from Innistrad Midnight Hunt to Innistrad Crimson Vow. So it's just one set behind always, so it's just going to be jumping up one. And then finally, the standard booster reward in Nodes of Power is going to now include cards from the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set. So those do contain duplicate cards, so it's not a non-dupe, but nonetheless, it's just saying that it's adding the Neon Dynasty cards to the card pool. Finally, we have some bug fixes. So it fixed an issue where the Dawnheart Mentor would not attack when buffed, fixed an issue where the Battle of the Ages event was not giving the correct amount of card mastery after winning a battle, and then finally fixed an issue with Blink of an Eye being cast even when a player had no accumulated mana in their hand. So there's also the card gallery. I'm in the process of compiling the cards that stood out to me as chase cards and cards that are interesting, so keep an eye out for that video. When the Planeswalkers are released again, you'll see that we really don't have anything except for their tokens right now. I'll go ahead and make a video on those as well. And then just if you're wondering where I got some of my other information from, Rebecca actually responded to some posts on the forums. So the first one was just to say that the Planeswalker abilities weren't final, so those got taken down. And then also finally saying that the event follows the same style with initial charges and recharges throughout the event. But on the plus side, she did post that she'll pass your idea to the team, and who knows, maybe we'll get something different for future events. I think that would be pretty cool. I'd love to see that. So, which of the new mechanics look the best to you? And just from what you know of the Planeswalkers, I'm curious, which of the Planeswalkers are you most interested in that are coming to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty? So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.